Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new podcast called Finding the Words. My name is Vidhu, and I am here with my best friend and co host, Minash. Hi, Minash.
Hi, Vidhu. So happy to see you here.
I'm so excited to do this podcast with you. I think this is something we've both been thinking about separately for a
Yes,
while now.
a really long time. So super excited to get going. And I think there's no one other than you that I'd like to start doing this with.
What made you want to start a podcast?
Well, I've actually been thinking of it more from a business point of view to be able to speak about my story. And I think that we all know video content is kind of the way forward in today's world, and no one wants to see texty stuff or like see any static posts anymore. It's all about a nice piece of video content. And putting myself outside my comfort zone and facing my fear of what people would perceive me as, etc., etc. I think that just needs to go out the window. And yeah, the podcast, because it's me and you, and I just think we always have some really cool core thoughts and um, debate on values, systems, and so many things. I'm really excited to explore all these different nuances and topics in this podcast.
Yeah, me too. Definitely. I can relate to all of that. And I think, especially since turning 30 last year, a lot of fear has exited from my system. And I think probably the same for you too, based on the
Yeah.
conversations we've been having over the last so many months. And I think a big thing for me is that some years ago, post my sort of creative career, I really felt I had like lost my self-expression. I had lost my ability to like speak publicly and speak my truth, and I just sort of like felt like I was stunting my growth by not exploring that. But now that I've let that go, it's funny how it's like just sort of like come naturally now that
Yeah,
full
absolutely.
like that full circle that I'm now like in a position to be talking like this in a public forum. So yeah, I'm just excited to like explore self-expression again.
Yeah.
Um, and that too, I feel very like comfortable doing it with you, someone
Same
that I've
here.
known for
Yeah.
so long now. How long have we known each other then?
I think 2012, so that makes it 13, 15 years.
No, 13.
Well,
No, we'll cut that one
yes,
out.
13 years indeed.
Yeah, so coming up to 13 years since we started university, and yeah, we lived together, and I think something that's really interesting about us is that since university we've both lived in different countries. I'm
Yeah.
based in the UK, Minash is in Bahrain. Yet despite that, we seem to like mostly always be on the same page about
Yeah.
things, and
Or be
like
going through stuff right one after the other where someone's experienced it and someone sharing their experience on what to expect. So yeah, I do agree. I do feel like we really gone through the phases together, and or
yeah.
one after the other, to just kind of be each other's soft landing whenever we need it.
Yeah, definitely. And we've walked each other through such big milestones in our lives.
Yes.
I think that's a big
Yes.
one. And like we've made the effort to stay connected.
Yes.
Um, I think we should
I
probably
think
share.
that's so much of a
Yeah.
truth about friendships that nobody actually discusses or nobody actually speaks about, is the effort that it does actually take to maintain a friendship, and actually be bothered about what the other person is up to, rather than just kind of trauma dumping, which is what I feel like a lot of friends kind of do, or like maybe they don't know any better or can't think any further than that. But I
Mm,
do feel like we go so much beyond the dumping, and we also have fun, and we also know how to like kind of keep each other in check when we're going out of line, and maybe we can't see it ourselves, but it's like having that mirror reflection of somebody telling you things that are going in a certain way, or for good or for bad, but kind of keeping you in check, giving
Yeah.
you a tap on the back, a pat on the back when you're doing good, and maybe no one else is able to acknowledge it. Maybe we can't acknowledge it ourselves. So yeah, it's just really nice to have that reflection and introspection.
And I wonder if it's easier for us because there is distance. Like I don't know the answer to that, but I wonder if like
I think
we
we'll know the
are,
answer to that
yeah,
if we live in a similar part of the world.
again, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
No, yeah, yeah, that would be
Sorry,
interesting
I
to
cut you
explore.
off. You were saying.
No, 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 that's exactly it. Like, I wonder if it is easier to stay as connected as we are because there is distance. So it's like, um, I don't know, maybe like that's what makes the ability to connect like you know like when one sense is like closed off, like when you can't see properly, then like your smell and your taste is heightened.
Yeah.
Maybe there's like
Yeah.
an element there that is like you want to make extra effort because you don't actually get to see the person. And so
Yeah.
yeah, I do always like feel like when we speak it's like I really make time for that in a way that I
Yeah.
probably don't with people that I see
People are
often.
around. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, definitely. I do agree on that as well. It's like that sacred catch up time, or like just like an in-depth conversation. It's not the surface level, like how are you, how's it going, how's Shakti, how's Kunal, how's mom. Like there's just so much more to it. And I also feel like the days we get into it, like we just get right into it. And it could be you one day and it's me one day, but we just have our like we just know that there's a sounding board that's going to actually give you like a legit kind of when it's like almost when you're in the gray area and you don't know what's black and white, just having someone kind of give you a bit of clarity.
And you know, I wonder, like, I imagine a lot of people don't have that. And it's actually a very different type of friendship to what you have, like, let's say with your partners or your husbands.
Of course, yeah.
Um, so yeah, I wonder, like,
I definitely feel like this friendship, like what we hold, or when we carry space for each other, hold space, is something that even like a romantic relationship could not kind of
fulfill.
not be at par with. It's two absolutely different things, but yeah, absolutely fulfill that void or the fun that we could have, that we do have together when we meet around the world is very, very unparalleled to any kind of fun, like be it a honeymoon or be it like a couple's trip or be it like a family trip. Like it's just a whole different paradigm of freedom and expression, self expression. It's like we have no limitations in being our true selves with each other. And I think that that is absolutely so sacred and so, so nice to have.
And I think really like underspoken about. Like it's
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
underrated, that type of friendship in your life. And I think a lot of friendships don't stand the test of time because maybe they don't like
And
they're not
distance.
as yeah, they're
Yeah.
not as authentic as like a true friendship like this. So yeah, that's enough being soppy and
Yeah.
celebrating our relationship because we very rarely speak like this to one another.
Absolutely. Yeah, I do
um,
agree.
but what does the title Finding the Words, the title of this podcast, mean to you?
So I think before we go into that, I just want to say that we went through so many options to kind
Yeah.
of really pull together the essence of the two of us without trying to be extremely feminist or extremely soppy or extremely um, business or
Yeah,
kind of
identity
us
based
related.
or
Yeah, just
yeah.
very generic to kind of to put to fill in, enough that represents both of us, and even the distance in between us, and possibly having some cool guests on the show. So finding the words, I think it's literally as we grow older and we kind of get stuck in situations, or not stuck, even just navigate through situations,
Mm.
personal, professional, self growth, even situations with ourselves when we don't know how to for example, speak to ourselves. So many people say that, the way you speak to yourself is so important. And I feel like sometimes we just don't know how to find the right words to do that. And I studied communications, and I strongly believe in the fact that the words you use to communicate, or how you speak, even your tone, semantics, so many things, they make such a big difference. And very often, I think when we speak as well, we kind of go through the process of not knowing how to say it correctly, or not knowing how to articulate ourselves. And I always tell you that I have always, like, really loved how you put your thoughts out together and you articulate yourself. So I think that finding the words is a beautiful, spacious, and thoughtful, emotionally resonant title that kind of pulls together all of our gaps of finding the right words and seeking the language for the complex things that we live through, being distance, identity, relationships, money, growth in our careers. What should we post on LinkedIn next? That doesn't sound too pompous, but kind of gives us the validation that we're doing just bits and pieces. So, yeah, for me, finding the words is literally just a beautiful way of putting together how we communicate as we grow older, when we even possibly don't know how to navigate certain situations or find the right way to do it.
Yeah, no, 100% agree with all of that. I think number one for me is exactly that, navigating. Like, words are the way to help you like navigate your thoughts.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
something that I've learned over the last few years working with different writers, through various programs, like with the Elephant Editions team that I work with. Like, like number one to thinking clearly is being able to write and articulate yourself well,
Yes.
because when
Yes.
you're able to articulate yourself well, like you can sort of go through a structure and a format that sort of takes you rationally through
Correct.
understanding any given topic. So yeah, that's number one. I think we definitely agree on that. And I think number two for me is, as I said, like feeling like I lost my voice some years ago and finding the right words to bring that expression back. That is like definitely central to my desire to create this space and podcast with you, but also behind the title, finding the words. It's about like not being scared and tripping up over
Yes.
yourself and like
Yes.
doubting and like rethinking what it is that you're trying to say and just saying it, and
Yeah.
showing the sort of messy work, the workings out, the messy middle as you
And
go
the
through the
authenticity.
process. Yeah.
Yeah.
um
Absolutely.
and I think you and I, despite, saying like despite sort of going through similar things, we're also in quite different careers and in quite different like professional spaces. So I
Yeah.
feel like, finding the words also like really helps to articulate all the different things that we're passionate about. Like, I'm very passionate
Yeah.
about sort of understanding like how our indigenous identity and culture can help us navigate this modern world, whereas you're very interested in like entrepreneurship and like succeeding but with like values, and also with a
Yeah.
really
And
healthy like
ethically. Yeah.
work life
Yeah.
balance. And I think, yeah, like just finding the words to articulate where those two different things sort of
Things
meet
meet.
in the
Yeah.
middle of the Venn
Yeah.
diagram.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like finding the words is the perfect pod. And I know, I said before after turning 30, but I think that's such a big thing. And
Yeah.
like everything changes post 30 for the better, I feel.
Yeah.
If you allow it to. I mean, you could
Yeah.
definitely like go into a dark hole of anxiety thinking about sort of how life's changing. But I feel, for me at least, and I think I can speak for you in this, is like that, just that fear of
Yeah.
people's perceptions, that fear of just the fear of like the fear of like trying to fit in just completely vanished for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. I do think that we never actually wanted to fit in ever, but it just took us a bit of time to realize and accept that it's okay not to kind of go with the timeline or the flow of life that people, or the trajectory that is kind of set out for success. Like, it's kind of like, for me, it's almost like defining success on my own terms, and not necessarily having to go through the um like having to go by the book to be successful. Like, as you know, I run Element Co from Bahrain, and kind of shuffle between Bombay and Bahrain, and that has its own challenges as well. And it's not something that's really easy to manage. And that's there have been so many times where the question arises, like, shall I be shutting the India business? Shall I be bringing it here? And then I'm like, no, there's no definition of success that I will only be successful if I'm sitting there and running the business, or if it's here with me. I'm redefining my own terms of how I wish to be successful, and how I want to kind of move forward in my professional and personal career, without personal life, without actually, compromising on either.
And
So
I think COVID is probably um like plays a big role in that, like this post-COVID world. Like we
yeah,
feel that, especially sort of, I don't know, maybe us being millennials and work, like sort of transitioning from, well, not quite transitioning from studying, but being very early career through to like
yeah,
this next phase while COVID was happening, means that we can redefine how we want to work and live, and what that balance looks
true.
like a lot better. Like we have more autonomy, I feel, which is why
Yeah,
like you can even entertain the idea of operating your business from a different country.
yeah.
I don't think the pre-COVID world really allowed for that. In
Would have even
Yeah,
warranted that. Yeah, you're so right. That's actually so true.
yeah, I think, yeah, COVID changed a lot. I think I could never go back. Well, I could never say never, but I think it would be a real struggle to go back to 5 days a week
Yeah,
in an
yeah,
office, to like just that whole like idea of just being in an office to show that you're working hard, I think is
yeah,
completely run out the window. And
yeah,
I think, yeah, we're at the sort of forefront of redefining that for ourselves now, a lot more than we ever were. Um,
yeah.
yeah, so I really wanted to
I do
discuss
think
something.
that's a
Yeah.
really nice topic that we should maybe get into properly one day, and maybe even just speak about how the post-COVID world, in the working world, has given us so much flexibility to even look after ourselves, our health, having time to work out, prep meals properly. As in, not going to the office gives you so much leverage, in terms of
And to work on the passion projects, to work on
exactly
the
to be
things that
able to do your
exist
side
when you
bits.
have space. One other thing I wanted to discuss, which I was sort of like struggling to think about a minute ago, was like how much less judgmental I feel I am now, of not just of people younger than me or whatever, less experienced than me. Not that I think we were ever like super judgmental, but I'm just saying, but even of my younger self, I'm so
Yeah,
much less judgmental of who I was. I'm so much less like, like when you look at the sort of like things that you were up to in your like teens and early 20s. I think for so long we've been like, oh my god, like, can you believe we were like, we thought like that? Or
yeah,
but yeah, like now I can believe that we thought like that. I'm so much more gentle with who we were and how we thought, and I just think that's a big thing. I don't know, again, if that is, if we can attribute that to like crossing the 30 mark, but I don't know, like there's definitely been a shift in like self-perception and just being way more like gentle with
gentle with
the
yourself. Yeah,
journey, and like not so hyper fixated on like these arbitrary destinations, and just like seeing how, like, if you walk with integrity and
yeah,
you're held, your head held high, like sort of where does that take you? And acknowledging that who we were
yeah.
is such a big part of who we are now, and
Now,
just being really
exactly. Yeah.
like grateful for that, grateful for how we thought, who we were, like how we just
And how
like
we
all
even
those
navigated
things.
at that time to be where we are today. Like, even if today the crux of our conversation is navigation and finding words, I think from the start, it's always been about the fact that we've been journeying this journey of life together in a way that we kind of feel held and feel supported, and have, seen through this friendship for so many years, through so many milestones. And yeah, I just feel like it's gonna be beautiful
I
sharing
think
this.
a really nice regular segment that I know we've discussed having is sharing a new word that
Yes.
we might have learned.
Yeah.
And I think based on everything that we've been talking about today, I wanted to share the word sonder, which
Okay.
is the feeling of realizing that each passerby, or everyone that we see, has a life as vivid and as complex as our own. A feeling often accompanied by a sense of wonder and the realization of one's own smallness in the grand scheme of things. So, yeah, I mean, I just feel like that's such a nice
That's
word
beautiful. Yeah.
term for
Yeah.
today, because
Yeah.
I think a big part of us wanting to start this podcast was realizing that the conversations that we have are not
Yeah.
like any and necessarily anything
Any
different
different? Yeah.
to
Yeah.
what other sets of best friends might be having. So I think that's a nice way to start this journey of
Yes.
what this may
Yeah.
become.
I'm so excited, and I can't wait to kind of. So whenever I think of uh this podcast and what we're gonna do with it, I also always have been going back to your initial blog, which was untangling the confusion.
Oh my God.
And I do feel like we're going to do a lot of that while trying to find the right words as well. So welcome back, Vidhu,
Oh,
to speaking and
thank
putting
you.
yourself out there and finding your expression. And I hope that so much comes out of this for you on that forefront, and I can't wait to see how it unfolds.
And in the same light, I want to welcome you to, you
Thank you.
publicly using your voice. I wouldn't say for the first time, but it feels like in many
For
ways
the
this
first
is
time in a
like,
very long time.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So, and I feel like, when we think about that blog, like you were there from those days. So thank you for
Yeah.
holding my hand throughout the whole process. And look where we are now. It's amazing, isn't
Yeah.
it?
And you were there listening to me do my speeches and all the bits and pieces at university, when I never thought that I was confident, but actually when I look back at that girl, I think I got a few bits and pieces to learn from her. So
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, we'll definitely be sort of launching this on the major audio platforms. You can
Yes.
expect to hear sort of in-depth conversations between the two of us, but you can also expect to hear, one-to-one or two-to-one interviews with us or one of us with special guests, people that we feel like we have a lot to learn from, close friends of ours, but also like
Yeah.
mentors and
Correct.
our heroes. I would like to
Yeah,
believe that
people who
we'll
just
have, yeah,
contributed in to us becoming who we are today, and who have journeyed with us.
yeah,
And yeah.
and we'll be continuing on this journey to finding the right words to express what it is that we're feeling, and hopefully that's something that our listeners will. Those words are the words that our listeners will relate to, and let's see where this takes us. I'm not going to make any like
Yes.
sort of false promises about
Yeah.
where we're hoping to go, but we're on a journey, and let's see where it goes. And hopefully we'll have a bunch of listeners that are on that journey with us.
Yes. And if they ever want to find the words as well, they can drop in some questions, and we would also be happy to kind of try and see if we can untangle the confusion.
So there's no like social pages or
Yeah.
email addresses just yet, but as time goes on, I'm sure all of that good stuff will come. But if this is something that you would like to keep sort of notified about, then please do follow on the audio platforms that we launch on, and we'll be sure to keep regular and consistent with the content that we stream out. Any last words from you, Minash?
No, not nothing. I'm just really excited. I can't wait to see how this unfolds. And Thank you for putting it together and pushing me to buy that mic.
Yeah, there were a lot of like technical issues that we were
Yeah.
contending with over the last few days, but we're finally here, and hopefully the audio
But we
is
did it.
nice
Yeah.
and clear. And
Hopefully.
hopefully I'm
We'll
not
know.
like super loud right now and we haven't got all of the settings wrong, but I guess people in the comments will tell us if
Yes.
it's not quite right or right. But yeah, anyway, before we continue muttering along, I think that that's a good place to maybe hit
To
pause
close
today.
on today. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we'll be back with a second episode very soon. So please be sure to follow, like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And I guess we're signing
Thanks
out.
for
I've been
listening.
Vidhu
Yeah.
from the Finding the Right Words podcast, and you are
Minash from Finding the Right Words podcast.
no, we'll
Finding the
get better at this.
words,
Oh
not right
yes,
words.
finding the words, whether they're the wrong
Finding the
words
words.
or the right ones.
Also, good reason to explain that it wasn't supposed to be finding the right words, because it's not necessarily about finding the right words. Sometimes it's just about finding the words to say what you need to say. So
Exactly. And
here
sometimes
we
the
are.
wrong words take you on the right path. And I think that's definitely
Yes,
something we'll go into more depth about as the episodes go on.
absolutely. Looking forward.
Yes. And we'll speak very soon. Take care,
Yeah.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.